yourself. Lynda's a nurse, mindfulness-based stress relief educator, counselor, and musician. She weaves together her knowledge of mindfulness with her music to give people an experience of deep relaxation, reflection, and aliveness. She brought to Mexico a beautiful collection of silver and Native American flutes, and she is sharing her unique singing, songwriter style with us. Welcome, Lynda.
Thank you. Did we have some kind of a problem with the sound system?
You're okay.
I'm okay? Sounds a little loud from here. Is it about the right volume for all of you? Okay. All right. Well, it is so great to be here. This is my second and a half, the third day in Ajijic. I came in with one of those all-nighters Friday night. And so it's wonderful to experience the energy and feel of this place here. And in some ways I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak, because my specialty is how to reduce your stress, and you all have been very wise already to move to Ajijic, and that has, I'm sure, taken down a lot of your stress already. But we do bring our minds with us, and our beliefs about life and other things, and our set point for happiness. And so there is always, even in a beautiful place like this, I'm sure, some challenges and continuing work on returning to ourselves, to be in our calmer, wiser place instead of the ego place where we get into trying to control everything and fix everything. And it's so easy nowadays. I'm sure even down here, all of the information about what's going on all over the world filters down here, and it's easy to get fearful or caught up. And sometimes it can feel like a roller coaster ride with, steep ascents and downs and curves coming fast if we start to try and take in everything that's going on in the world and everybody's stories and all the catastrophes. And I think mindfulness is a really wonderful tool to help us come back to ourselves when we start to get in that place. How many of you are familiar with mindfulness practice? Great. And how many of you practice mindfulness regularly? About the same hands. How many of you practice some other form of meditation or deep relaxation regularly? Great. So we have a few different ones. So I am preaching to the choir. But I think we always, from everyone we hear, we get another little piece from another angle. We're all wise in different ways, and it's fun to share our collective wisdom. What you may or may not know is how much mindfulness-based stress relief, which originally comes from Buddhism, is being used in combination with Western psychology today. I work in a mental health unit with everything from severe schizophrenia to bipolar to people that just tried to commit suicide the night before, chronic depression. And we teach them something called DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Training. And it's applied practical mindfulness, which is returning to the present moment with acceptance of what is going on in the moment, observing our minds, noticing what's going on inside of us, around us, noticing when we start to focus too much on past painful memories or obsessive worrying about the future, and over bringing our attention to just being here. And the other piece of that we teach is cognitive therapy, which is focusing on examining our beliefs and when we're getting too much into negative beliefs. Einstein said, "No problem can be solved in the state of consciousness in which it was conceived." Righteousness never solves anything. It just fuels more anger. Solutions to the world's problems are combated by people who are clear-headed, self-possessed, and certain as to where their values lie. They can distinguish between the past, about which nothing can be done, and the present, which is therefore correctable. And mindfulness is always about returning to that present, to that place of the balance between our emotional selves and our rational selves, which they call in the middle the wise self that we all have. And there's the more surface mind wise self that is the place of calming down enough just to make wise decisions when you've misplaced your keys or have a decision to make. And then there's that deeper wise self that we connect with when we are meditating, praying, out in nature, doing something creative. Or maybe we've gone to sleep without knowing how to solve a problem, and we wake up, it's there. Our wise self took care of it during the night for us. Thank you very much. I found it interesting over the years, and maybe you have too, how what is focused on with research and what is accepted as true keeps changing. I'm sure you all noticed that. And it seemed for many years that there was quite a focus on dis-ease and what was not working and how to kill all of them germs, knock them dead. And gradually over the years, we're starting to focus on, well, what does work? Why do some people live to be 100 years old? What makes some people happier than other people? And some of the headlines, of course, make me chuckle. Scientists have proven that vegetables are good for you. It's like, yeah, I mean, Mother can tell you that. Popeye knew that even back in the 60s, you know. But more recently, they've started to do research on happiness and what allows people to be happy and why some people are always happier than other people. And, of course, what is accepted as true in that field is going to keep changing as well. But right now, they took quite a few, as many as they could find, identical twins that were separated at birth and lived in totally different environments, and then studied and did whatever they do to survey their happiness levels. And they found that in general, identical twins have the same degree of happiness. And of course, happier people look at life as fun challenges, and unhappy people look at life as stressful problems. You know, it's just how we set our mind. But what they've concluded by that is that 40 to 50% of our happiness is at a genetic set point, that we keep returning to that same approximate level of happiness. And that's why, you know, in my job working in the mental health unit, we may have generations of people who really struggle with chronic depression. And, you know, you wonder, well, is it because they grew up in that family, or is it genetic? Well, it's some of both. Then they feel another 7 to 15% of our happiness is based on external surroundings. Now, for those of you that lived in a highly stressful job in New York City and then moved here to Ajijic, you may consider 7 to 15% a little low. Or somebody that's, you know, living in prison or being a soldier in Iraq, that's quite different. But I think what they mean from that in general is you could win the lottery and be extremely happy for a while. But then there's stress with that too, and dealing with all that, and you tend to come back to somewhat that point. Or you could have a bad injury and really plunge for a while, but then work your way back to the approximate set point. But fortunately, it isn't all doom and gloom and that we have no control over things, because there's that other 50% that they credit to intentional activities. So if you go out and eat a wonderful banana split, you're going to have a spike in happiness, but it's probably not going to last very long. But if you go out and do a wonderful creative project or doing something that contributes to society and is appreciated, you will probably have a longer continuation of that. And a lot of the things that they're, just like with the vegetables, you know, proving about the vegetables, a lot of the things that they're proving with happiness, every religion and philosophy and wise parent and grandparent could probably tell you about the same things. For instance, if people keep a gratitude journal, If they do it every day, after a while it becomes ho-hum and it doesn't help. But if once a week you sit down and write out everything that you're grateful for, it will raise your happiness. The other good news you've all heard about, runner's high, you know, any kind of course, exercise that we do releases positive neurotransmitters, endorphins, all those good natural drugs in our system without any side effects. And I was very interested to see all of the statistics on meditation. I've been a meditator for many years, but hadn't really known. They said that meditators tend to appear physiologically about 10 to 15 years younger than people that don't meditate. They have a much higher threshold for pain, which, because their whole system is not stressed out, it's more relaxed. And of course, with all of us getting older and having aches and pains, having a less or greater tolerance for pain is a wonderful thing. And when we do have stress, it washes through and releases the cortisol and adrenaline much more quickly, as does exercise. I know in my marriage, if I have one of those little marital spats and I go off for a walk, I can kind of time it. If my heart's pounding and I'm feeling upset, it takes about 10 minutes of walking to start to wash out those stress hormones. And with anger, I find that movement works better than meditation. Meditation comes later, but you want to get that adrenaline out of your system and then calm down. They found that meditators have higher levels of DHEA, which is a youth hormone. And also that meditators, what is released is serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, and antidepressants may have one of those, but none of them have all of them. And so regular meditation can work better than any antidepressant, especially if you combine it with walking. And it definitely promotes sleep too. So how do we practice mindfulness? We had a beautiful meditative demonstration of that today. Just sitting quietly for a few minutes and following your breath, listening to the birds, which are so beautiful here in Ajijic, refocusing your attention on your body over and over, and just this moment. When your mind wanders, bring it back to just this moment, being here in your body. It's so simple. That's what I like about it. There's nothing complex about mindfulness. We've all had those times when we've gone to watch a beautiful sunset, or gone to hear a beautiful concert, or meet with a special friend, and our mind was distracted. We suddenly realized the sun went down, the concert was over, our friend's been talking at us, and we missed a lot of it because we just weren't there. There's a really good book, if you can get a hold of it, called Planet Walker, about a man that decided first to just start walking instead of riding cars after witnessing a horrible oil spill. And then he just decided to stop talking. And he ended up on a 17-year journey of walking around the world, not speaking, and managed to get a PhD and get hired by the Coast Guard to study the impacts of oil spills while being black and not speaking. So you can imagine he was pretty interesting and good. But the first thing he noticed is how much he missed of people's conversations because he was busy formulating his own answer usually, and with not speaking, he was able to take in and learn from everyone around him so much more. I took a walk one day in my town, and we have a lovely little park in Coos Bay, Oregon, that's right around a little lake, and there were these swans and geese and ducks, and all the flowers were in bloom. And Coos Bay is one of those places that, you know, it rains a lot, yes, but when the sun comes out, you know, there's jewels of light shimmering off of all the trees, and everything smells really green, and we all, of course, celebrate. And I was walking with a woman that had chronic panic attacks, and she was talking about all the things that weren't working in her life. And I was almost overwhelmed by the beauty of the moment and taking it all in and having just that richness. And I could see that she wasn't even there. She missed the whole experience. And in the classes I teach with people that have chronic anxiety, the first thing they will say after a few weeks of practicing mindfulness is that when they walked, how much more they noticed the beauty because they were just starting to be present. Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a very famous teacher of mindfulness around the world, talks about how starved people are to be really listened to. That the biggest gift that you can give to your loved ones is to really be present. And he says, the most precious gift we can offer others is our presence. When mindfulness embraces those we love, they bloom like flowers. As humans, we live in two worlds. We live in the world of the ego. And this is like being in a lonely castle with high walls, with a moat around it, fear of attack, needing to defend, striving to control everything. And the other is more like Ajijic, living in, I'm not pronouncing it right, but I'll get it someday, living in an open village where people are equals, where you commune with nature, and you feel more one with life around you. And that's how we feel when we return to our authentic selves. And mindfulness is the practice of noticing when we're one place, noticing when we're the other, and bringing ourselves back over and over again to being present with the richness of who we really are. So, along with mindfulness as being one of the paths, anything you do throughout your day can be a mindfulness practice. If you choose to eat a meal slowly and taste each bite, that is mindfulness. If you take a walk in nature and decide for the length of time you're walking that you're just going to be there and you feel each footstep, you're totally with the birds, you're practicing mindfulness. You can even just walk from your living room to your bathroom and you have a choice to have a busy mind that's thinking about 50 things, or you can just take a 1-minute break and walk slowly and be right there. Thich Nhat Hanh, the mindfulness teacher, is not so much about deep, long meditations, though they're wonderful, but he says it's your intention throughout your whole day. And Suzanne and I got to spend a day in Escondido at one of his retreat centers, and this Buddhist nun that was there, who'd been a vegetarian and meditator for years, told us that she had slightly high blood pressure until she moved to his center. And what they do is every 15 minutes throughout the day, a gong chimes, and your only job when the gong chimes is to breathe in and out 3 times with awareness and check in with ourselves. And her blood pressure went down. And think of just throughout your day, you just frequently paused, checked in with yourself, slowed down for a moment, went on with your day. So easy to do, so transforming. I'd like to spend the rest of the time taking you on a journey of mindfulness through music. And your only job during this time is to return your attention to the present moment, to your body as much as you can, and how the sounds vibrate inside of you, and how you respond to the music. And I'm going to switch microphones now.
We have sound?
Yes, we have sound. Oh, before I forget, because I'll probably get in an altered state with the music, I do have 3 music CDs that are available online, and I also have... Okay. Closer, you have to be closer. should have waited to finish now. It has a delay on it. I'll turn the delay off for a minute. Can you hear me okay? Okay, at any rate, I do have a mindfulness class series that's available online for audio classes, and I also have 3 music CDs. Some are more meditative, some's more singer-songwriter. Tuesday, a block from here at Suzanne's house, I'm going to do an hour music, poetry, and mindfulness show, and any of you that want more are welcome to come. And Suzanne will be across the street at Mara's shop right afterwards and can give directions to anyone that is interested. Haviv, the poet, says, when the violin can forget the past, it starts singing. Haviv says, when the violin stops worrying about the future, you become such a drunken nuisance that God will reach down and start combing you into her hair. And when the violin can forgive every wound caused by others, the heart starts singing. Should I go back and put the other mic on so you can hear better? It's okay? All right. next going to play, I'm going to play a song called The River from my third CD. And my third CD is singer-songwriter, and it's mostly my own originals. But this was one I heard on NPR. It's an African man. Jeffrey Oyema wrote this, and he probably had friends translate it because the rest of the CD is all in Uganda. And but the theme is coming home to yourself, coming back. And so I thought that would be a nice one to feature today. It was a bit of a challenge changing the arrangement from full African band to solo harp and flute. And I couldn't bring my harp down with me. It was enough to bring 8 flutes for my performance Tuesday night. So you'll have to imagine I'm playing the harp too. It will flow and wash away our differences, and love will grow. You have the power to deliver, so let it go. When I dip my hands into your waters, I can feel your soul. I will light a fire by your river. Have no concern. You can drink the silver from my moonlight while our fires burn. I will slide inside your silent water. Sketch me a picture of a river and let it flow all across the desert and the mountain. We will let it go. Nuestro quería corrodir somebody. And I'm thinking about going back to my summer, my home. Tana says, if I could, I would sing about the divine embrace that is possible when the mind stops striving to fix or change or resist what is, and has a willingness to rest, even for a moment, a simple willingness to rest in not knowing. If I could, I would sing about the divine embrace that is possible when the mind stops striving to fix or change or resist what is. I would sing about the unfathomable miracle that we exist at all. I would sing about this strange dream we call life, and the beautiful sadness inherent in the death of form, and the eternal, always awake invincibility of being. I would sing about the end of seeking and the beginning of finding that which is never really lost. If I could, I would make you dance and cry and forget about the story about who you are and celebrate the truth of who we really are, before form, before name, and after death. And sparks will fly out from my heart to yours. And sparks will fly out from my heart to yours. May we deepen together in this endless exploration of self. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you very much, Lynda. That was wonderful. We have time for a few questions. If there's any questions, please raise your hand and the mic will come to you, and hold it close so that people can hear. Anyone have questions? There's one. Hold on for the mic.
Could I have the author of Planet Walker?
Just wait for the mic, please.
Could I have the author of Planet Walker, please? And also your website.
Okay. Should I speak into that mic? Can we hear better there?
No.
You're okay. I'll have to download the name of the Planet Walker, but I think Francis is the first or the last name. I'm never been good with names, but if you Google Planet Walker, I think you would find him. He also played banjo while he walked, and then some things about banjo and about oil and resources. And I have different websites, but if you go to aliverightnow.com, it has links to my mindfulness website and my music website, so that's a good starting point. Yes.
Hold on for the mic, please.
Did you bring CDs to sell with you?
I did, but we're not allowed to sell them here. But you
Okay.
could talk to Suzanne about
I
that
just
afterwards.
wanted to be sure they were around here somewhere.
Yes, somewhere.
What time is your performance on Tuesday, please?
It's at 7 p.m.
There's someone over here.
Um, the performance is at Suzanne's house, and she will write directions for people. It's about 1 block from here on 16 de septiembre. I used to live in San Diego years ago, so a little bit of my Spanish is still somewhere in my brain.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
Well, since we can speak in Spanish, mucho gracias. We adore you, we love your
Sí.
music, and
Thank
we
you.
want to come on Tuesday.
Great.
So Suzanne, please give us your place, and we will be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
In the back.
Hi, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you more of a clinical question, if I may. You work in a psychiatric unit, it sounds like, and in this day and age of quote-unquote modern medicine, where so many people are taking antidepressant meds and whatever, what kind of modality do you use to try to switch them, if you will, or suggest that they might try mindfulness or other things other than the drugs that are so often given in the, at least in the U.S. system?
Right. Well, basically, if people are willing to try and switch over, of course, they suggest mindfulness for people that have insurance or can take the DBT classes. It's actually a year-long practice and class, so they get lots of support week after week. The book, what is it called? Dr. Amen. What is it called? Oh, no, a Magnificent Mind at Any Age. He has an interesting 60-question questionnaire about different brain imbalances and habits. And he has done over 50,000 brain scans, and from certain symptoms and imbalances, they can try someone on a natural supplement or exercise or different things and do a before and after of the brain now and see how things truly affect the brain. Dr. Amin himself, in his 30s, was shocked to see his brain didn't look all that great. And he didn't take drugs, alcohol, anything, but he didn't exercise much, and he ate a lot of junk food, and he changed his ways, and he checked his brain in his 50s, and he was a lot better. But in the book, they do have, for all the different types of depression, he has several kinds of depression, several kinds of attention deficit, and different natural supplements that can help some of these imbalances, and then what medical drugs may help. But, you know, switching people over, a lot of the times the people that I work with through that system are so severe that just get them to have any hope of changing their behavior and their happiness level at all, keeping their meds and doing something new is a big leap for them. So, but privately I've worked with people who are bipolar or things like that, who have weaned themselves off of medication through gradually learning how to center and stabilize their life.
Any other questions for the moment? Well, thank you very much for your presentation. It's been wonderful. Next week's presenter is Todd Stone, who you may have heard of. Todd has created water sources and treatment plants in several continents and addresses many of the challenges and possibilities of a broad range of things. He's a civil engineer and a humanitarian and has built a lot of bridges, both physically and psychologically, among people. And his topic will be about the waters and the other broad range of things about the traffic, about all kinds of stuff around the lake. So he's a person who provides a model of action more than talk, and he has been encouraging others to do the same. So if you're interested in doing something to make a difference, work with Todd. He will be glad to advise, to promote the activities to help others in this area and other places. Please pick up your coffee cups and stack the chairs by color and style. Thanks for coming. See you next Sunday.